Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's good to be back with you. I am just doing a couple of uh, tests and checks just to see if you are able to see me live. I'll explain that in just a moment. So happy Tuesday. It is 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast. And I don't know where you are streaming from, but it could be evening, afternoon, morning, but whatever the time, I do invite you to settle in with me for the next 15 to 20 minutes and enjoy this conversation. I'm also going to encourage you to get a piece of paper and a pen out or pencil so that you can take notes. Hopefully, you will find something that I'm sharing tonight to be helpful for you as I am settling in and allowing you to do the same. I do want to take this opportunity to welcome you to this live broadcast. I am Erica Salee, speaker, self-help author, and transformation success coach, owner of True Synergy LLC. And I get excited because as a result of my personal coaching and professional development programs, I help women and organizations to figure out what stands in the way of their success. And I absolutely love sharing strategies and tools and methods to help create the best version of themselves, whatever that looks like for individuals or as individuals part of a team or organization. And so this week, I'm coming to you with a few nuggets, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But I do want to say this, last night was the first broadcast. So this week, I am sharing 4 days. So last night, tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. And so the broadcast last night set everything up, was having conversation here in what I thought was the live space for everyone to be able to see. And I started getting all these messages about people not being able to get into the broadcast. And so I wasn't really sure what was going on, went back to check the settings. And sure enough, I set the broadcast so that only I was able to view it. And so just a quick change in the settings to make it public was what was needed in order to allow tonight's broadcast to be seen. So if you are joining me live, then I do encourage you to drop a comment so that I know you are here and you can hear. And if you happen to come in later to see the replay, then I do appreciate that as well. So do hashtag replay and engage. It doesn't matter whether you are here live or if you come back to see the conversation later, there's always an opportunity for you to share your thoughts with me. And so as I do my check, it looks like I am live in the spaces that I need to be. So I am good to go on that front. So listen, I got a quick question for you before I get into the conversation for tonight. I want to know how many of you are still eating Thanksgiving food? This is Tuesday. And so I got to be honest with you. I finished up the last of my turkey wings on last night. There's like a drop of greens left. And so that's just enough for tomorrow. And then it is done. It is over. And some people say, well, I can't eat Thanksgiving leftovers any longer than the day after Thanksgiving. And I'm not that person, especially if it's good food. I don't mind continuing to enjoy it. So on that note, let's go ahead and get started. So this week, as I said, I am sharing a specific topic that I think is very, very, very relevant to the times that we are in right now. And so I am sharing 4 ways to be intentional about finding your joy. So I want to do a really quick recap from last night since we I won't even say had technical difficulty. It was user error. But I will just state the topic that I shared on last night, and then I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch the entire video in my feed. So you can find that on YouTube, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. So the 4 ways to be intentional about finding your joy. Last night, the first way was all about making a decision. Making a decision. I know how it can be sometimes. It's not always easy to try to figure out where this joy spot is in the midst of whatever transition you happen to be going through. Now, as I share these 4 ways to be intentional about finding your joy, the context with which I'm speaking is as a result of divorce. You get to fill in the blank for whatever transition is applicable to you. So the first, which I mentioned last night, is all about making a decision that you want to be connected to joy. Okay. And I don't want to go into too much of it tonight. I want you to go back and check out the conversation from last night, that there is a difference between joy and happiness. I talked about that. But the making the decision is the first step in the right direction. It doesn't mean that you've solved everything or that you're not still trying to work some things out. It doesn't mean that you have all the answers, that you're still not confused, you're still not anxious. But it means that you get to a point where you say, okay, I'm embracing these human elements of going through this transition, but I'm also making a decision to embrace joy. I'm making a decision, even acknowledging that I deserve joy. And so that is the very first way to be intentional about finding your joy. Again, go back to my feed. You can check it out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you can see the entire conversation. So let me get into tonight's conversation. So 4 ways to be intentional about finding your joy. So tonight I want to share with you the second way to be intentional about finding your joy. And that way is to check your surroundings. I just want to let that sit for just a moment, to just check your surroundings. Now, checking your surroundings means that you are looking around and you're assessing people, places, and things that may hinder your efforts to embrace joy. So think about this. You know, for those of us who are drivers, and even if you're not a driver, you know the context that I'm sharing. So as you're driving, you know, we have these things called side mirrors. We have rear view mirrors. We have back windows and side and front and back side windows. And so as you're driving, whether you're trying to change lanes or whether you're trying to maneuver into a parking space or even just driving down the road these days, you are aware or checking your mirrors and you're looking around because you're trying to figure out if there's something in your space that may be hindering you from moving into a specific lane or parking space or anywhere on the road safely. And so you do that because you are what? Checking your surroundings. So when you're checking your surroundings, what you're essentially doing is saying, is it okay for me to make this move? Or maybe I shouldn't change lanes right now, so I'm just going to stay put. Or, you know what? Maybe that parking space is not big enough for me. It's too small. I can't maneuver in it. So I'm going to check my surroundings just to make sure that if I try to move into that spot, is that really a good idea? So in the context of finding your joy, what does that mean? It essentially means the same thing, that you're kind of looking at where you are in connection with other people, in connection with situations, connection with conversations. And you're saying to yourself, okay, does this really benefit me, or does this align with me seeking after joy? Now, as I'm sharing this, it's something that just came to my spirit that I want to take a moment to share. I did not do this last night, but I'm going to do this tonight. I'm going to one of my sources. Well, when I'm, back in the day when you used to look stuff up in the dictionary, you'd pull a dictionary off the shelf. Okay. So I want to read to you what Merriam-Webster.com says about joy. Okay. So joy is defined as the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. Now, I know there was a lot, so I'm going to read it again. The emotion evoked by well-being, success, whatever you define that to be, because everybody has a different level of what success means to them, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. What that says to me is just the notion that I am attaching myself or aligning myself to something that I desire is joy. So when I talk about checking your surroundings, we have to ask ourselves, if you're in a conversation with someone and you kind of feel the vibe of the conversation, sometimes the conversation is so good that you find yourself wanting to have more conversation with a person. That's a good thing, right? That's something that you get a feeling about when you're engaged with that person. So that's a form of joy. It's also connected to happiness, which if you go back to look at the replay from last night, you'll understand what I mean about joy and happiness. But the flip side is that you may be engaged in a conversation with someone and you feel a vibe that's really making you feel uneasy, making you feel some kind of way. Maybe it's a little contentious. And so you say to yourself, is this invoking a feeling of well-being for me, especially if you're in conversation and you kind of have this heightened sense of, goodness gracious, when I'm talking to this person, my heart's beating all fast and I feel a little tense and it's giving me a headache and I'm just kind of just all wound up. So when you think about checking your surroundings in that situation, you're really saying to yourself, oh, wait a minute. Let me check my connection with this person in this conversation. And it may be best for me to exit out of the conversation graciously. So that's one example of checking your surroundings. Here's another example of checking your surroundings. There's so much going on, and I've talked about this and I'll continue to say it as long as it's relevant. There's so much happening in our space right now. So I could pick up my phone, I could scroll through social media and see all kinds of stuff that is triggering for me. Whether it's something happened in the community, somebody else, gets shot or somebody gets injured or somebody passed away. I could go to my news app and I could do a really quick catch up on what's going on in the world. And you can kind of see like, oh gosh, if you stay there too long, you will start to feel some kind of way, especially if you're human. Like it gets to be too much. And sometimes we don't even realize that it gets to be too much. That's probably a conversation for another time. But so checking your surroundings might say, man, you know what? And I'm inundated with this particular thing, this particular topic. And so in order for me to experience joy, that sense of well-being and wanting to be in a good space, I probably need to check out sometimes. So I've mentioned this several times. A few years ago, I was so connected to the news cycle because it was just so much happening. And I thought, is this really the world that we're living in? And I felt like, I got to stay connected to it because partially I couldn't believe what we were experiencing. But then what I realized is that I'm feeling this angst and I'm feeling this frustration and I'm feeling this anger. And so this is really not good for me. So I started to check my surroundings and realizing that I can't have my television on a particular station all throughout the day because it gets to be too much. And then it starts to rob me of my joy. So check your surroundings, whether it's people, whether it's places that you go that you might feel like, oh, this is really not my vibe, this is not my scene. And so you have to recognize that that's part of your surrounding. Or it could be what you're allowing yourself to listen to or to watch. All of those things are surrounding. So it's not just about, checking when you go shopping and you're kind of being aware of what and who's around you. That's important too. But it's also about those things in your space that may be impacting your mental, your physical, your spiritual well-being. So that is checking your surroundings. And I really got to say, sometimes people may not understand. Right? If part of you checking your surroundings means that, oh, I should probably detach myself from this thing or this person, people may not understand that. And here's the beauty. Here is the beauty of checking your surroundings is that, hey, Vernette, happy Tuesday. I was going to say Friday. I'm jumping ahead a few days, but it's good to see you on live with me this evening. It's been a while, so thank you so much for joining the live broadcast. And again, tonight, I am sharing the second way of 4 ways to be intentional about finding your joy. So tonight, it is all about checking your surroundings. Here's the other thing that I'm going to say, and then we're going to wrap up. up because I said 15, 20 minutes for each of these segments. I'm going to do my best to honor that. Sometimes when you check your surroundings and you decide that I need to step away from this or step away from that, we get to decide whether or not it is just for that moment or if it is for a more extended period of time. So let's say this. You have a friend who relies on you. This friend knows that you're there for him or her. And so you know that this person may be going through something. And you know that this person is going to reach out and call you and just need to unload or need to share or just need to get some things off of his or her chest. And so this happens almost every day. Now, being a good supporter, you know that you are there for that person. But what you also recognize is that, it's starting to impact my joy. So in checking your surroundings, you don't want to totally leave that person out in the dust with no support. So you may decide that you have to check in for a limited time, instead of making yourself available all throughout the day. Maybe you allow a check-in midday, because at the end of the day, you're trying to wind down for your own sense of well-being, joy. At the beginning of the day, you're trying to get into a space. I know for me, the beginning of the day is about working out. It's about prayer. It's about meditation. And I like to be quiet in the morning without a whole lot of conversation through text and social media and all those kinds of things. So you might say, okay, I'm checking my surroundings. I know that I'm here for this person. I know this person needs my support, but I also know that in order for me to maintain joy for myself, then I have to check in and allow myself to be available for a specific amount of time, because I've checked the people around me and I've checked the things that's going on around me. And I know that I have to put some boundaries and limits on it. I talked about that this morning in Facebook Live, just about the power of saying no and the power of setting boundaries. I'm not going to go through that here tonight, but that's essentially what that's saying. So when you're checking your surroundings, you are making sure that everything and everybody around you is putting you in a space that is allowing you to experience joy. And if you feel that that's not happening, then you get to make some decisions. You get to make decisions on how you show up with your energy, show up with your time in those spaces, so that if you need to check out in any specific time or for any specific period of time, then you can do that in order to maintain your joy. Okay. So on that note, I'm just trying to check my notes just to make sure, in case I did a recap from last night, in case anybody missed that. Again, I'm going to encourage you to go check out my social media feeds, and you can see the entire conversation on that. There's so many things that I want to share, but in this small amount of time, I'm going to just make sure that I give you the key points. So here's the thing. So tomorrow, I will be back here live. And Vernette says, you hit the nail on the head. I am dealing with just that thing. So I'm grateful to hear that, because, it's been a minute since I have actually jumped on to do a live stream on the platforms. But it's also been a minute since I've had conversation with this particular viewer, who I'm happy to see. But it just goes to show you that you never know what people are dealing with, and absolutely nothing happens by chance. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on this part of the conversation. So come back tomorrow night. I do need to confirm the time that I will be coming on tomorrow. I have a banquet. My son's football banquet is tomorrow evening. And so I will not interfere with that. I will be fully present for him. So just be on the lookout for the time for tomorrow night's conversation, where I will be sharing way number 3 of being intentional about finding your joy. So before I let you go, though, I do want to make a couple of announcements. So if you have not ordered your copy of my brand new Amazon #1 bestseller, and I'm so grateful, so thankful for that, then you can do that on Amazon. So I'm here. Now What? Finding Joy After the Storm is available on Amazon. And as I said last night, this is the holiday season, and sometimes you're looking for something for someone special, or maybe you're looking for a special gift for yourself. Someone posted this earlier, that it's hard for her to go Christmas shopping because she always finds everything that she likes for herself. So this might be a situation where you say, you know what, I'm going to treat myself. Now, I will say that the book and this conversation around finding joy, the backdrop of the conversation for me is all about navigating through divorce to get to that point, to the point of experiencing joy. So the book is all about that journey. So it's about going through the storm, going through the challenge, the ups, the downs, all the things connected with that particular experience for me, but finding joy on the other side of that. So I do encourage you to go to Amazon to get your copy of the book. And then I also want to remind you that registration is now open for the companion program to the book. Finding Your Joy Live kicks off January the 29th. And so I'm excited about this because this is an opportunity for women to come together who may be experiencing a couple of different things. So let me just really quickly say that you can go to my website, truesynergy.org/finding-your-joy to get all the information about the program. There are limited spots available, limited spots available. I want to say that again, limited spots available. And let me just take a minute to talk about that. When my first book came out, Pathway to Purpose, which is also on Amazon, I hosted what was called a book club. It really was a more intimate, transformational experience for all of the participants. And so in that space, what I recognize is that these are the conversations that I think are best suited for a small, intimate space. So for Finding Your Joy Live, which kicks off January the 29th, there are limited spaces available. The max number of participants that I can have, or that I'm choosing to have, is 15. So you don't want to wait to get your spot. So let me really quickly tell you, the purpose of this program is to do three things. It is to help you to process the ups and downs of your transition. Mine happened to be divorce. Yours may be the same, or maybe it's some other kind of loss, whether it's relationship, job, or some other place that you may be in your particular in life right now. So it's to help you to process those ups and downs, to pivot away from the emotional strain that comes along with it, because we are human. And the best part is that it's also intended to help you push toward joy for your future. So if you are a woman who says, oh my gosh, you know what? I am going through separation. We are likely headed for divorce. So maybe you're already divorced, or maybe you've already lost that relationship and you're like, oh gosh, how am I going to manage on the other side of this? You may be an empty nester. You may be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, you know what? I really need to own this concept of practicing self-care unapologetically, because that's what I need to help me get through the transition. Or you might be saying, listen, I'm trying to recreate or reinvent myself. I need to know, what does my next season look like? So if that sounds familiar, if that is you, then I do encourage you to register for your spot. Okay, I'm going to say it again, register for your spot. Let me also say this. You can find this on the website, but I do feel inclined to mention it now, because sometimes, it gets to be like, oh gosh, I really want to do this. But so let me just tell you. So the investment around this program, and you can find all of it on the website, but if you're here and you're watching me, I do want to say this. For the Premier experience, it's $297. Okay, now just stay with me for a minute, because I know this is holiday time, but I want to let you know there are some options. So $297 for the Premier experience. You can upgrade to a VIP seat for $497. Okay, now you can go to the website, you can see what the difference is between Premier and VIP. But here's the thing I want you to hear right now. You might say, oh God, I want to do this, but $297 and it's holiday time. So there are options. There is a payment plan option available, which breaks payments down to a very feasible option for you. So if you're hearing this and you say, you know what, that sounds like me, this sounds like there's something I want to do, but ooh, it's holiday time and I don't know. And So don't let that be the thing that stands in your way. All right. Don't let that be the thing that stands in your way. I'm going to say that again. Don't let it be the thing that stops you from getting what you might need in order to move into that space of joy that you desire and that you deserve. So you will see if you go to the website, truesynergy.org, there are options for a payment plan. Okay. And the payment plan structure is available to you, but you do have to take a step in order to say that you want to take advantage of that. If that sounds like you, then don't hesitate. Don't wait. Don't contemplate. Don't try to, think of all the things that might keep you away from the very thing that you need. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you sharing that, Vernette. Just want to make sure that I cover all my bases. So again, so we talked about the book. You can get that on Amazon, talked about the companion program. And yes, so join me tomorrow. So tomorrow night, I will be sharing way number 3. Stay connected with me on social media platforms so that you can get the exact time and show up here with me live. If there's somebody that you know who needs to hear this conversation, that I do encourage you to share this out in your community so that they can be part of the conversation along with us. So with that being said, I thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all again real soon. But until I do, I want you to take care of yourselves and yes, be well.